All right, so this lesson is going to be on the topic of order of operations. And most people have been taught this acronym, PEMDAS. And we call that PEMDAS. And a lot of times you learn the acronym or the saying, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, to remember this. So the P stands for parentheses, the E stands for exponents, the M is multiplication, the D is division, the A is addition, and the S is subtraction. And the purpose of this is to tell us what order to do math in, so that if we're all given the same problem, we will all get the same answer. So it's not like reading, where you just read from left to right. In math, we don't just do it from left to right. We follow what's called the order of operations. Now, this version of PEMDAS is actually misleading because it says that you would do multiplication before division and you would do addition before subtraction. If I was going to write it more correctly, I would write it like this. So the first thing you should always do is operations inside parentheses. Then you should do exponents next. And then third is multiplication or division. So multiplication is not always done before division. So if you have both multiplication and division, you do whichever one comes first. So working from left to right, if you had division first, you would do that first. And likewise for multiplication. And the same is true for addition and subtraction. But keep in mind, you do multiplication and division before addition and subtraction. But same as here, with addition and subtraction, you do whichever one comes first in the problem. All right, so let's look at a couple examples. Well, before I get into the examples, let's talk about exponents, or more properly, powers. So when you see a number with an exponent, that is called a power. If we were to say what this is, we would say this is 2 to the third power. So the whole thing is called a power. The number on the bottom is called the base value, and the number up here is called the exponent. So the whole thing is a power. You have a base and an exponent. And the exponent tells you how many times to multiply the base times itself. So 2 to the third power would mean multiply 2 times itself 3 times. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So 2 to the third power is equivalent to 8. The most common mistake I see is students just say 2 to the third power is equal to 6. So they just multiply these. That's the most common mistake. Again, you're taking the base and multiplying it by itself this many times, whatever the exponent tells you. All right, so now let's move on to some examples. Okay, so PEMDAS. Let's write that down. PEMDAS. Okay, so you want to be methodical with this. Go through it step by step. Doing order of operations is not difficult because all it is adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. It's just basic operations. But what is difficult is taking your time and going through the steps. So start with P. Are there parentheses? No. Okay, move on to E. Are there exponents? Yes. The way we're going to do this is we're going to simplify the numerator, the top of this, and we're going to simplify the denominator, the bottom of this, and then we're going to divide these. So a fraction is just another way of showing division. So in other words, this is really the same thing as 4 plus 3 to the fourth divided by 7 minus 2. In algebra, we don't use the division symbol very often. We typically just write division as a fraction like this. So keep in mind, these mean the same thing. All right, so let's do the exponent. So 3 to the fourth, again, remember, that means multiply 3 times itself 4 times. So 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. So now we have 4 plus 81 over 7 minus 2. All right. So again, start over. Parentheses, nope. Exponents, nope. Multiplication or division, Nope. Addition or subtraction? Yeah. So I'm going to do both of these at the same time. Again, I'm just going to simplify the top, simplify the bottom, and then we're going to divide them. So 4 plus 81 is 85. 7 minus 2 is 5. And I'm just going to divide those. And 85 divided by 5 is, let's see, 117. So this whole expression here simplifies to 17. They're equivalent to each other. But obviously 17 is in a simpler form. That's why this is called simplifying. It's not called solving. We're not trying to find something. We're just writing this in a simpler form. All right, so let's look at another one. Simplify this expression. We've introduced variables here, x and y, and what they're doing is telling us what the value of x and what the value of y are. So x and y are variables that represent numbers, and they're telling us here what numbers they represent. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to substitute these numbers in. So we're going to replace the variables with their values. So I'm just going to rewrite this to parentheses. X is 4, y is 2, and there's an exponent of 2 here. Now, a number next to parentheses here means multiplication. So there are 3 different ways you can show multiplication. So if I want to show 2 times 3, I could use an X, I could use a dot, or I did write a 3, or I could use parentheses. In algebra, you typically write multiplication using a parentheses. And you really don't use the X very often because X represents a variable. So you don't want to confuse people and have them not know if that's a variable or a multiplication sign. All right, so back to PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S. So taking our time, step by step. Are there parentheses? Yes, there are parentheses. So that's the first thing we're going to do are these parentheses. So I'm going to do the 4 minus 2. So 4 minus 2 is 2. And then I just carry all the rest of this down. All right, so go back to PEMDAS. Are there parentheses? No. Some of you will say, well, there are parentheses right here. Well, those parentheses are just here to show multiplication. There's nothing to do inside of the parentheses. There's just a number there. So no parentheses. Exponents? Yes. This exponent is on the 2 here. So this is 2 to the second power. So again, 2 to the second power means 2 times 2, which is 4. So the 2 to the second power is 4. Now I have 2 times 4, and that simplifies to 8. So again, this is called simplifying because I'm taking something and writing it in a simpler form. I think I have one more example for you. So again, using variables x and y, the first thing we're going to do is substitute them. So I'm going to replace x, a number next to a variable here, 2 next to x. That means 2 times x. All right, so I'm using parentheses to show that multiplication. So the x is 2, and that's to the third power. I just replaced x with 2, minus the y value is 3. So get back to it, P-E-M-D-A-S. Are there parentheses? Yes. So we're going to do this first. So we're going to do the 2 to the third power. So 2 to the third power, again, that doesn't mean 2 times 3. That means 2 times 2 times 2. So that's 8. So now I have 2 times 8 minus 3. All right, are there parentheses? No. Are there exponents? Nope. Is there multiplication or division? Yes. So I'm going to do the multiplication next. So that's 16 minus 3. 16 minus 3 is 13. All right, so I hope that was helpful and useful to you. If so, give it a like and a subscribe. Until next time.